Our senior advisor, Rick Grenell. Yesterday when we were talking, Vladimir Putin was finishing up his press conference. President Biden had not yet started his very short press conference in comparison. But I want to go to Rick first, just to get Rick's analysis overall of yesterday. We've talked about the other meetings, but then this lead up to a meeting with an adversary early on in the presidency. You're wondering what were the deliverables, what were attempted to be the deliverables. But Rick, what is your initial takeaway? Because there's a lot of people that have they're kind of hands up in the air, the way that Biden was treating the media again, the kind of way this ended, but also I just a sense from you on what was this meeting worthwhile?
Well, first of all, because I'm such a fair and balanced, nice person, let me start by complimenting President Biden on two fronts. One, sending our ambassadors back is a very good step. The embassies have been open, but having the leaders back, I think that's good progress. And I also would say that the second thing is that he was very strong in confronting President Putin on human rights. Both of those things are very good. But I don't understand the media's giddiness. They're all excited that things went well and that President Biden didn't melt down and have some sort of a stumble. But the reality is if you're President Putin, why wouldn't you be in a great mood? You got a pipeline. You got a pipeline that's going to give cash and influence for the next 20 to 30 years. You can sit through some finger wagging from the Western Alliance because you can go home and count your cash through the pipeline. I don't understand why we're missing this point.
And because you're before being an ambassador, before being the acting director of national intelligence, you come out of the international communications world, so at the United Nations. And Rick, when I saw the body language from the Russian, the team, Lavrov, the military, the core advisors to Putin, when they first came out, even before Putin came out, it was the first time we really saw them after the meeting, and they did not look like how Russians typically look. And it's just this is also just body language and culture, but they were laid back, they were smiling, they were playing. I mean, they could have been, playing the media, but they obviously felt like they came out of this meeting, and even CNN, they tried to spin it as both sides were happy, both sides were pleased. Is that really possible between a meeting between these two countries when you can go through the litany of issues that Russia is engaged in right now that we've called out?
Well, look, we've ignored all the difficult issues. My Grandpa Grenell would say that President Putin had a kick in his step. He was pretty excited to be there. Again, you can sit through some harsh words and statements from the G7 and from President Biden if you got a pipeline. I mean, look, he got the big enchilada. And so anything else that we bring up, cybersecurity, Putin did exactly what the Russians did. He literally looked at the camera with a straight face and said, all those cyber attacks are coming from the United States and Canada. And this is my 8 years of dealing with the Russians at the UN. They don't respond to moral arguments. When we try to put forward an argument that says, you should do the right thing, the international community expects you to behave, they don't care. That's not what they're there for. They want oil, cash, gas, pipelines, influence.
Why do you think, Rick? I mean, why do you think this doesn't, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, it's like, you go on the media, you're talking about it, you're trying to bring people's attention to it. The media knows about it, but yet even the few who get to ask the questions, it's not on their radar. They don't include that. And you have to wonder, and especially because of the meeting with Putin, with the Russians, this would have been the time of all times to ask the President of the United States about that decision.
This is a very good question. And let me tell you the reason why. And it's a philosophical reason. President Biden and his administration and all of the media in Washington, D.C. maximize European applause. They want the attention and the applause of the elites in Europe and all of the global elites around the world, the Munich Security Conference and Davos types. They want all of those people to say, you are good. And so when Chancellor Merkel, the leader in Europe, comes forward and says, I want this pipeline with Russia, they figure out a way to deny what's best for American security, to give Chancellor Merkel what she wants. Now, look, President Biden said something very insightful about his philosophy, and my radar went up as soon as he said this. He literally admitted that his philosophy on foreign policy is just purely an extension of personal relationships. He said foreign policy is about him. It's about his relationships, about what he wants and what he maximizes. That's not true. Foreign policy is about us. It's about America. It's about putting America first. It's not about Joe Biden's relationships with the world. But he gave us that little insight that he maximizes having really nice dinners and a good relationship with the world. He wants the applause of the global community. He doesn't want the applause of Americans who say, you're fighting for us. And that means sometimes the European elites aren't going to like it.
Ambassador Grenell, let me ask you this question. What do you think of Biden's performance vis-a-vis the attitude of the Chinese and the Iranians? What did they take away, do you think, from seeing President Biden's performance in Europe and in Geneva in particular?
You know how to ask the tough questions, because that's really the heart of what we want to try to not happen. Look, U.S. foreign policy has to have as a goal of making sure that the Russians and the Chinese don't gang up on us. We want to make sure that they are always in conflict. That's just the reality. We don't need to be fighting with the Russians and the Chinese at the same time. The last thing we want is for them to gang up at the UN or at the UN Security Council or in some sort of international foray. So what we really need to do is maximize where they disagree. And by the way, that's pretty easy to do because the Russians and the Chinese don't have the same worldview. The Chinese are communists, and the Russians are more of, a collusion type mafia organization where everything has to benefit the leader Putin and his cronies. And so what we need to understand is that Russia is a problem, but China is a crisis. And we need to make sure that they're not working together. I would say that what they read there was an opportunity to all work together because they sense America's weak under Biden.
Rick, as always, thanks for joining us. Rick is a senior advisor to the ACLJ. I know you've been watching the media the last 24, 48 hours. You've seen Rick a lot. But to be able to take this analysis and bring it to you every day, folks, we are grateful of your support to the American Center for Law and Justice so that we can do that. Take these issues. What stood out to Rick? What stood out globally? How would others interpret this? To bring those kind of experts to you is because of your support to the ACLJ, which we appreciate so much. And we appreciate Rick, as always. He's got a new blog going up at aclj.org later today on Biden's trip abroad, so you can share that too with your friends and family. That'll be up at aclj.org.